Hey everyone, this is Benny. Thanks for joining in. I'm in Scotts Valley for the Kindred Summit. Look how beautiful this place is, surrounded by redwood and gardens. And so we're here for the next few days. There are over 100 founders from the Kindred portfolio, and all of them are working on incredible things, from AI to robotics to space chips to brain computer interfaces, you name it. So it's not very many opportunities to be in a room of peers that are building the future. And I remember back in back in around 2011, 2012, something like that. I remember I went to New York and I attended a conference where there were a bunch of young entrepreneurs, and I at that time was still in university or college studying journalism and psychology and entrepreneurship. So that was kind of an eye-opening experience. I was exposed to a lot of folks that were building like companies with drones that helps firefighters and all sorts of stuff. So I feel that same energy today, and it's always a good reminder, you know, a lot of times we're deep in our own work, we're learning really quickly, we're trying to solve the problem, we're launching, testing, and just doing a million things. And I think this is an opportunity to look around here, right? An opportunity to slow down, reflect, and be vulnerable. And so I'm trying to do that as much as I can. And speaking about vulnerability, so I had a demo and presentation this morning. It was a 3-minute time slot along with several other companies, and I made a really bad mistake, honestly embarrassing. And I had thought that 3 minutes, I've done 5 minutes, I've done 10 minutes, I've done an hour, and I've talked about these things day in, day out. Me and Jaden have conversations you guys have been a part of. And so I just, thought that it's gonna be easy peasy. I just go up there, do my thing. I've spoken about our approach. We've talked about perma. And honestly, it was one of the worst presentations I've ever given. I got very nervous, and as I said, in a room of peers who are building some of the most incredible companies, including us as well. That's why we're here. But as if anyone, we're human at the end of the day. And I got very nervous and was second up and connected my computer and began my presentation. And I think what went wrong was something that kind of clicked in my head halfway through. Is the story I was telling was one that had a critical critique about a certain social media giant, and it was kind of like critiquing why that ecosystem, that social network is not actually going to sustain itself. And that kind of caused kind of a ripple in my mind halfway through, where I felt like maybe I should focus the energy on like the awesome and creative, innovative things we're building instead of just comparing. And so halfway through I started to struggle in continuing this script. And maybe it was the morning, maybe I overthought it, maybe I was nervous because of the energy in the room, but honestly, it was tough. That 3 minutes felt like an hour, and I just wanted to zoom through it and get it done. And we had a demo video which showed the app, and I think that really saved it. And I just don't think a lot of people speak about these things, right? Being a founder, being the leader of a company, and going on stage and pitching, a lot of times you would think it's an incredible thing, and I'm very appreciative of it, to the whole Kindred team, Stephen, Kanye, and everyone who has organized this. But I couldn't help but to feel really down after the fact, and I was like, damn, I let myself down and let the team down, and Jaden was there, and I really wanted it to be a slam dunk, and there's so much more to improve, and this is just the first step as we kind of like figure out how to describe the things that we're building. Because frankly, as you've seen, we can technically and on a product side describe it, but it takes a while, and I think that's like one of the hardest underestimated challenges is, can you synthesize the way you describe? And look at this incredible wood here. We're now in the forest. Look at those trees and this beautiful path. So anyway, yeah, it's one of the biggest challenges. And so I kind of wrote some things down in my little tiny notebook that I wanted to read out. And I wrote this after my presentation, and I was like, how can I, let's just like start from the why and like work our way up. So this is what I wrote here. So I wrote, and as I already explained about the comparison side, I wrote, it's not in our nature to compare and to judge others. Instead, it's more inspiring to focus on the excitement of what the future could be. I wrote that down because for a while now, we've kind of in the quest of finding a problem, and I do think there's several problems, that we kind of ended up in this realm of like, hey, they're not good, and hey, this is their wrongs, and like being super judgmental and critical. And I think there's a time and place for that, but I think I learned an important lesson today that that what we're building is cool and exciting, and I do believe it will affect people's lives. I do think that as a social camera, that it can actually help form friendships in this age of AI and automation. And maybe that was enough, maybe that was enough. We didn't need to go down this other path of comparing. This is the other thing I wrote as well. Our why is centered around human connection. Our purpose is to build opportunities or environments where people want to meet one another again. And this is super resonant because we believe in this world. I personally think that technology, I'm in the tech space, look, and I am a believer of tech. I believe it could profoundly change society, economies, create jobs, improve our lives. But ever since I've now that I look back at all the things that I've worked on in the last decade, as a founder or as a part of a high growth startup, it's kind of centered around, how do I connect with people, and how can I enable people to connect with one another, regardless if it's a NFT or it's something else. To me, that is the mission, and as long as we kind of focus on that connection piece, everything should work itself out. Another thing that I wrote was, and this is related to perma, is shared perspective is the context for a friendship to form. As content moves away from context, it stands to be all entertainment and party tricks, but not as an exercise of empathy exchange. Empathy exchange, what does that mean? I think to a lot of people, that can mean all sorts of things. But I think at the heart of any new friend that you might meet is the vulnerability of explaining your story, your narrative. And that is the first act of empathy exchange. And we have reason to believe that there are increasingly a lot more platforms, networks, apps, social apps that are leveraging AI, leveraging generative media, all sorts of stuff in the interest of entertaining us. Which, look, I get it. Our real lives sometimes is not as exciting as we want it to be. And wouldn't it be great if we can write a prompt and suddenly we produce a video or a photo or an incredible story of which, you know, can elevate and excite you, and the people who view that content can also share that same excitement. So I think there's a time and place for that. I think the Studio Ghibli thing was a prime example where like everyone started to do it because it was really cool to see. Everyone has watched a Ghibli film, and it's like a dream of theirs to be in one. So I think it's incredible. But again, we gotta come back to the why. And the belief here is, at least from my perspective, is everyone wanted to fit in, everyone wanted to see themselves in this light and then share it in terms of entertaining and, you know, and I think that's fair. But I don't, you know, you could imagine, what if in that 1 week when everyone was generating Studio Ghiblis, ask yourself this: were you able to tell the different personalities of other people? Imagine a feed where everything is Studio Ghibli. Like, is that a place where you can really get to know somebody? Maybe, perhaps, but our theory is maybe it's not actually the area for self-expression and empathy exchange. The next thing I wrote is, and this is, you know, ties into the last point, is AI as a tool is one that creates an equalizing force for the common person to become part of creative relevance. But it also creates stagnation on critical thinking and original expression. That is the purest source of context. Also, the most valuable data in a world where human creativity is scarce is going to be content that has context. And when we create media, photo, video, voice, etc., AI could amplify these things. It can translate it, it can transmute it, it can do all these incredible magic tricks. But at the end of the day, the purest form is what's happening right now, right? Between this camera and me is just talking and being raw. And I believe it's going to become a rare thing for people to open up like this. And I could be wrong. You know, I always stand to be proven wrong, but I think that intimacy is something that will be abstracted away when everything is generative. And the last thing I wrote here is, social is simple. Social is more about you than us. Social is not a viral blip. Social is engineered to be obscured. Social is a choice, not a toy. And so in life, when we define the person we are, our identity, when we join interest groups or go to school, etc., activities, we're all in this search of like, who are we as a person? What do we care about? And who are the other people who share that same thing? And are these people worth spending more time with? And like, explained simply, that is the core of what we're trying to do here. And I think that going back to the demo and the presentation, that should have been the message that I should have conveyed. I think that people would see that as a reasonable request, and one that maybe other people would resonate with. Instead, I still am kind of like processing like how I went in about, and it's like, hey, you know, this platform is going down and it's the end of their platform. And sure, you know, maybe it is, but it's not for me to say. You know, I have to give credit to the incredible talent at any of these tech companies. I have to give credit to all the builders, all the investors, all the users, you know, all the developers who put all of their energy into making platforms work. And so I shouldn't discredit that, and I do think that was something that I need to work on and improve on. But moving forward, I think the lesson here, at least for me, is that I should stay true to my core self and convey a message that is inspiring, talk about what we've built, and you know, and then leave it at there. And some people might agree with it, some people might not, and that's fine. I think it comes with that acceptance, and hopefully enough people in the world also feel like this is something they can stand behind. So that is what I wanted to talk to you about today. And yeah, we'll keep you posted throughout this week. Thank you.